They threw my birthday cake on the floor and told me to get out of their house. My own mother looked me in the eye and said, "You're just a burden, Mia. We're done pretending." And just like that, I was homeless on my 25th birthday. If this hit you even a little, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. You have no idea how many Mias are out there who need to hear this. I didn't cry. Not in front of them. Not while they laughed and whispered things like, "She thought we actually cared, and finally one less mouth to feed." My Uncle Rob even joked, "Maybe now she'll finally get a real job instead of chasing those loser dreams." I picked up my torn gift bag, the only thing I had left, and walked out. But what they didn't know was that the loser dreams they mocked were already making me more money in a month than any of them made in a year. They never asked what I did every night after they went to sleep. They thought I was scrolling social media or texting some guy. They didn't know I was building a business, teaching myself how to flip digital products, building a secret online store, and saving every cent I made. They saw a lazy girl living in the guest room. But I was quietly turning into the one person they would one day depend on. A week before my birthday, I had secretly bought the deed to my grandfather's old hardware store, the same one they all wanted to sell off. They said it was worthless. I saw potential. I remodeled it, rebranded it, and used it as a base to run all my inventory. They had no clue it even reopened. Under a fake name, with me as the silent owner. I remember standing on the sidewalk that night after they kicked me out. Cold, angry, but focused. I whispered to myself, "Don't waste pain. Use it." I booked a hotel using the company card they didn't know I had, ordered takeout, and reviewed the numbers on my second Shopify store. $37,920 in net profit for the month. Funny, isn't it? They were mocking me for being poor, while I was holding the key to everything they'd eventually beg for. But life had plans. 3 weeks later, I got a call. A big family meeting was being planned, and for some reason, they insisted I come. They had no idea what I was about to walk in with. I walked into that family meeting wearing the same plain sneakers they used to laugh at. But this time, I stepped out of a black SUV with tinted windows and a quiet driver, who opened the door for me. I didn't need flashy clothes or a loud entrance. The silence did all the talking. Their eyes widened. My cousin Jenna actually gasped, but I kept my face calm, like I had nothing to prove. Like I wasn't about to turn their entire world upside down. "Look who finally made it," Uncle Rob muttered sarcastically, sipping from a chipped mug. My mom didn't even say hello, just gave me that same cold stare. The room smelled like burnt coffee and broken trust. "We wanted to talk about Grandpa's store," my Aunt Linda said, flipping through some dusty old papers. "It's just sitting there, decaying. We were thinking we could all pitch in, renovate it, maybe open something simple, just to bring in extra money for the family." I almost laughed. They thought that building was still abandoned, that it was still falling apart, that they could finally use it to fix their own lives. "I think that store's already in use," I said slowly, watching their faces closely. "What do you mean?" my mom snapped. "You haven't been near that place in years." "I bought it," I replied calmly. 3 weeks ago. It's already running under a new name." Silence. Like someone hit mute on the entire room. Uncle Rob sat up. "You? Bought it? With what money?" I smiled. "With money I earned. Online. From the business I built while you all thought I was wasting my life." "No way," Jenna muttered. "You're lying." "I'm not." I pulled out my phone and opened the app, turned it toward them. Their eyes locked onto the numbers. $150,000 in total revenue. Clear as day. But how?" My mom stuttered. "You were always locked. In your room doing nothing." "Exactly," I said. "Locked in my room, doing nothing you understood. While you mocked me, I built something, quietly, alone. Aunt Linda blinked. Wait, does that mean you own the store now? I nodded. Every brick, every screw. And I also own the LLC that controls its operations. Meaning, they all leaned in, suddenly listening, suddenly interested. Meaning, I continued, if you want to work there or profit from it, you'd have to talk to me. Formally. As employees. My uncle's face turned red. Jenna dropped her fork. And my mother? She looked like she'd just watched a ghost walk in. You're bluffing, Rob hissed. You don't have the brains for that. I locked eyes with him. Then why is your name on this list of rejected job applicants? I slid a paper across the table, a real list from the last hiring cycle. Rob's name. Jenna's too. Rejected. Automatically. They had no idea it was me behind the interviews. And I wasn't done yet. There's one more thing you should probably know, I said, rising from my seat. Their confused faces turned toward me, hungry for answers, nervous for what might come next. I reached into my bag and pulled out a sealed envelope. This is from Grandpa's lawyer, I said quietly. It's about the house, and who it really belongs to now. The moment I said lawyer, the entire room shifted. Even the air felt heavier. My mom's smile dropped so fast it was like she'd been slapped. Uncle Rob leaned forward, trying to grab the envelope out of my hand, but I pulled it back just in time. What do you mean, who it belongs to? My mom demanded. This house is in my name. No, I said firmly. It was in your name. Grandpa changed the will 6 months before he passed, and he never told any of you because he knew how you'd react. That's impossible, Jenna scoffed. He would have told me. I placed the envelope on the table and slid it forward. He trusted one person with the truth. Me. Because I was the only one who visited him when he was sick. While you were out planning your vacations, I was sitting in the hospital room holding his hand. Nobody moved. The tension was thick. Rob's knuckles were white against the mug. My mom looked like she wanted to scream but couldn't find the words. Aunt Linda just blinked rapidly like the room was spinning. I slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a notarized letter, stamped, signed, legal. I read it aloud, word for word. By the time I got to the line that said, I, Walter Harrison, hereby transfer ownership of my residence at 1384 Oak Hill Drive to my granddaughter Mia Harrison, the room was silent. It was mine. The same house they kicked me out of on my birthday. The same house where they laughed at me, called me worthless, shoved me out with nothing but a gift bag and broken pride. Now legally, it was all mine. I don't believe this, my mom whispered. He wouldn't do this. He loved me. I stared at her. He did. But he didn't trust you. He told me everything, Mom. About the second mortgage, the gambling, the fake charity donation you made in his name to cover your own debts. Her face turned pale. Grandpa gave me this house to protect it, I continued. To keep it from being destroyed, like you destroyed everything else. No, she whispered, backing away from the table. You're a liar. Jenna suddenly yelled, This is fake! You printed this off some online website. I slid my phone across the table, showing them the digital version filed with the county. Legal. Untouchable. Rob stood up, furious. You think you're better than us now? Just because you made some money behind a screen? I looked up at him, calmly. No, I know I'm better. Because while you all mocked me for years, I built something without hurting anyone. And now that I have power, I won't use it to get revenge. He smirked, thinking I was going soft. I'll use it to teach you what it feels like to be helpless. Then I said what nobody expected. You all have 30 days to move out, Aunt Linda gasped. Jenna knocked over her water glass. My mom clutched her chest like she couldn't breathe. But where will we go? She whispered. I leaned forward. I don't know. Maybe you can figure it out in my old room. You know, the one with the broken heater, peeling paint and no door. The one you shoved me into for years like I was nothing. No one said a word. Not even Rob. I picked up my bag, calm as ever. You made your choices. Now you live with them. But just as I reached the door, my phone buzzed. I checked the screen and froze. It was an email. Subject line: Urgent. Business acquisition. Offer: $3.2 million. I didn't say a word. I just turned around, smiled at them all, and walked out without looking back. I sat alone in my car, staring at the offer. $3.2 million. My throat tightened. Not because of the number, but because of what it meant. It meant every lonely night I spent teaching myself how to build that business. Every insult, every eye roll, every time they said I'd never make it, was now worth millions. They were still in the house, probably arguing, blaming each other, denying everything. But I didn't care anymore. I wasn't the girl sitting at the dinner table praying they'd treat me better. I was the woman they'd have to answer to now. Drove straight to the warehouse. My team, yes, my team, was already there, managing the orders. Boxes stacked high, scanners beeping, labels printing. This business that once lived in a tiny corner of my bedroom was now in a 3,000 SQFT facility with 6 employees. Boss, you good? James asked, looking up from his laptop. I nodded. More than good. I showed him the email. He blinked. You gonna take it? Not yet, I said. I want them to see what they tried to destroy. Later that week, I invited them all to what I called a family dinner. Same location they used to meet at for birthdays. Only this time, I had booked the entire rooftop. Catered, decorated, elegant. When they arrived, they looked confused. Like they weren't sure if they were walking into a celebration or a setup. Why did you invite us here? My mom asked sharply. I stood at the head of the table. Calm. Controlled. To say thank you. They stared. Thank you, I repeated, for kicking me out, for underestimating me, for laughing at me. Because if you hadn't, I might still be that silent girl in the corner waiting for your approval. But now, I pulled out a large envelope. I'm something else. Inside were copies of the business license, warehouse lease, sales records, and the acquisition offer. When Rob saw the number, he choked. Jenna's fork clattered to the ground. Aunt Linda muttered, "This can't be real." "It is," I said. "I built it, every piece of it, and I'm turning down the offer." "Why would you turn down that much money?" my mom asked, almost in disbelief. "Because money isn't the win," I said. "This is the win." I looked them each in the eye. "You taught me what it feels like to be thrown away. Now I've built a platform so big, you'll never be able to ignore me again." Then I paused. Let it sink in. "But I didn't bring you here just to gloat," I added, lowering my voice. "I brought you here because you're going to need me." A hush fell. "What are you talking about?" Rob said. I slid a folder down the table. "I know about the IRS letter. The second mortgage, the overdue payments, the fact that this family is one bad month away from total collapse." Everyone stiffened. They had no idea I knew. "And you're right," I said. "You do need help." My mom's eyes started to water. "So you're here to save us?" I stared at her for a moment, then softly said, "No." The table went cold. "I'm not here to save anyone. I'm here to watch you struggle, just like you watched me." Then I stood up, picked up my glass, and said one final thing. But if any of you want a job, applications open Monday morning. I left them sitting there, speechless, surrounded by all the things they once said I'd never have. But as I walked away, James called. "Boss, you need to see this." I rushed back to the office and opened the new message. A famous investor had just offered a partnership deal, not $3.2 million, $10 million. I stared at the screen, my heart thudding. $10 million, not to buy me out, but to partner. They didn't just want what I built. They wanted me. My mind, my vision, my brand. The same girl who was kicked out on her birthday was now being courted by top investors. I walked back into my office. My name on the door, my team buzzing with energy, orders flying out by the hundreds. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Later that night, I drove past the old house. The lights were off, the lawn was overgrown, a for sale sign crooked in the yard. They'd lost it, just like they lost me. I didn't stop. Didn't look back, just smiled and kept driving, toward a future they could never touch. They kicked me out thinking I was nothing. Now I own everything.